Hello, I am in our wardrobe slash gym room thing. This might be a bit of a chaotic video. Look at that forehead. They want us to see that today, did they? There she is. I'm dyeing my hair. Look away now if improper hair dyeing techniques bother you, because I just use my hands. I always have done. I've got a lot of hair, so if I used a brush and did it all properly, then it would take me a really long time. And I'm impatient. It is called Directions. It's so good. It's the one I've literally used for the past almost 10 years. I dyed my hair green when I was 15 and I've dyed it pretty much every few months since then. I have tried a few different hair dyes like Manic Panic and Crazy Colour and Bleach London, which I think is not good. I do think the reason a lot of hair dyes don't work for me is because underneath this my hair is, I've only bleached it once, so it's not bleach blonde or white or anything like that. Underneath it's sort of orangey, it's sort of this colour, bit of that. Perfect. That wasn't even meant to be a prop, it just happened to be right there. Yeah, it's a sort of brassy orangey vibe underneath. Best case scenario, yellow. So obviously I need a really good quality, bold, vibrant hair dye, and Directions has always been that one for me. I know this looks quite faded, but I dyed this over 2 months ago. It was well before lockdown, probably 3 months ago was the last time I dyed this, and it's still very blue. So yeah, would recommend. Should I put a towel around me? Probably. Not gonna lie, I do normally do this in the bathroom, but the past few times I've done it, I've got dye everywhere, and in a white bathroom that's not good. So I've come into our wardrobe. I am right next to all of Danny's clothes actually. That's not good, is it? Right, I'm gonna move along a little bit. Didn't think that through. Okay. I did ask for some questions on Instagram, so I have some conversation prompts, if you will. Lovely. Oh yeah, I'm dyeing it purple. I don't know if I said that. My green hair has annoyed me the whole time I had it. This is literally how I dye my hair. You're gonna get so stressed. And on it goes. First question, how would your life change slash how would you like it to change when Remy goes to school? It's a very good question, because obviously right now I'm with him all the time, like constantly, because he's not, well, we're in lockdown, but before that even he wasn't in childcare or anything, so my life is pretty intense of like being a stay-at-home mum. Like that's kind of all I do. It's gonna change dramatically when he goes to school, or even next year he's got his 30 hours free childcare, so he's gonna be in nursery like pretty much full time. Even if I didn't go and get a job, my life is still gonna be super different, purely because I'm not hanging out with Remy all day every day, and I'm sort of getting like my independence back, and I'm gonna get to like regain a bit of myself. Not that I don't bloody love being a stay-at-home mum, obviously I do. It's more just like it does take over your life. Oh, I can't believe how dark I'm dyeing my hair. What am I doing? It's so dark. Also, I can't see the back, and I know I'm gonna end up having splodges of blue and green. I am gonna take the opportunity to get a job. So obviously when kids go to school it's still difficult to get a full-time job, because usually a full-time job is 9 till 5, whereas school hours are 9 till 3. So obviously it's something you have to work around. But actually, I'm just gonna go all out with this question. So as you all know, before I was a stay-at-home mum, I was doing like social media, influencer marketing, stuff like that. I've been thinking a lot about whether that's what I want to do, whether that's what I want to return to once Remy's in school and I'm able to work again. And I came to the realisation that I don't want to do that. But I did my degree in as well. I did my degree in PR. The whole plan was to just do PR and social media type stuff forever. But motherhood changes you, and not just that, but I think like those first few years, I mean I know I only graduated last year, but those first few years after uni change you. I mean, no, fuck it, your 20s in general are like very pivotal years, and it's when people change their mind about like who they are, what they enjoy, like all of that kind of stuff. And I thought I didn't really have time for that kind of reflection, because I've got a baby, I've already got a family, I kind of just need to hurry up and start making money. Like that was the way I saw it. And at the end of the day I already have my PR degree, so it's a lot easier for me to walk into a marketing type job, especially with all the experience I have because of YouTube and social media in that sense. So that's just a lot more, what's the word, I guess financially responsible, because I know that's a job I can do without any further training. Obviously I was like, well, that's what I'm gonna do. And then I just started thinking, especially since lockdown, what I can see myself doing, really enjoying and feeling passionate about. And something I kept coming back to was birth work, because I basically got really interested in birth when I was pregnant, but obviously it was only sort of a few months that I had that time to explore like learning about birth and getting really excited by it before I gave birth. And then, long story short, if you want me to do a birth story, let me know, by the way, because I just totally didn't do one at the time, and then since then I felt like it's way too late. But I don't know if it is, like I can just do one 2 years later, can't I? I might do one if anyone wants me to do one. But basically I didn't have the best birth, and it meant that like for a good year or two afterwards I just didn't want to think about birth at all. I was just, I wouldn't say put off by it. I was still very much enjoying reading other people's birth stories and that kind of thing, but I was just a bit more, I just took a step back from it basically, and I kind of stopped thinking about it again. And then a few weeks ago I came across Badass Birth, which I mentioned in the vlog that I uploaded last week. It's basically a business run by this woman called Jen, and she has an Instagram account and a blog and a podcast, and she is basically a doula who trains other doulas. I came across her course and listened to all her podcast, read all of her blog, and I was just like, oh my god, I want to be a doula. Like it was that simple. It just completely clicked. My hair is so knotty. And I think it's probably the same with a lot of doulas, where it's the kind of job where you have this idea of what you want to do. Well, this is how it was for me. By the way, if you don't know what a doula is, obviously you can Google it, but it's essentially like being someone's birth partner. A lot of people think it's like a midwife, but it's not at all. You're basically there for the person in labour, to support them in any way they want. You're there, you have appointments leading up to the birth to help them make decisions about their birth, and then you're there for the labour and the birth, and you can sometimes have like follow-up appointments. You get postpartum doulas who will come and like look after you basically in the few months after you've given birth. They might bring you food, they might do your dishes. Doulas are really bloody cool basically. But there's a bit of a stereotype of doulas, and this is one that I held as well, like a sort of preconception that I had of them as well, which is that they are white 40-year-old women that wear long skirts and are very spiritual. And that's because I've met one or two doulas who are exactly like that. It's a stereotype that a lot of people have, and that's great, there's nothing wrong with that. However, obviously I didn't feel I fit into that role, and after coming across Jen's course and seeing all of the doulas that she'd helped to coach, and coming across just all of these really cool birthing Instagrams that were like really diverse, and it just seemed like the kind of space that I could see myself in, which was surprising. I didn't think it was for me. Like I felt like the job was for me, but do you know what I mean? I didn't feel like I'd fit in to the birthing world. It can be a very white place, and like everything, I suppose it just needs diversifying a little bit. That was my very long way of saying that that's my plan, is to be a doula. It's a bit of an unconventional job. It doesn't have, you know, you don't have 9 to 5 hours. I don't know tons and tons about it because I've not done my training yet. I'm kind of still in those early stages of like doing research into it. But I think you can only have one client at a time, because obviously when you have a client you need to be available for them whenever they need you. It's unconventional in that sense, but I think that would suit me. I don't think I want a full-time like 45-hour job if Remy's at school. It also all depends on whether we have another baby or not. So that's definitely something to consider. Like when Remy goes to school, I might be pregnant, I might have a 1-year-old. Ideally I'd want to carry on doing this for a few years, have another baby, and then go and be a doula. That would be really cool. Next question. Okay, one person said, how's wedding planning going? And another person said, what would your dream wedding day look like? Which I think is really interesting, because I never talk about getting married online, because we just can't afford to plan a wedding at the moment. So I didn't really want to start thinking about a wedding, because I didn't want to make myself sad that we couldn't afford one basically. But you know, we never wanted anything fancy. When I do start wedding planning, I will do like a proper video on it, and I'll talk about like budget wedding ideas and stuff like that. We never wanted to spend loads of money on a wedding, and that's not just because we don't really have the money. It's also just because there's other things we'd rather spend it on. Like I'd rather spend more money on a honeymoon, or just on like a holiday in general and traveling in general. Like I'm more about experiences than just sort of like one day. Is it in Friends when Chandler keeps calling it like just a party? I'm a bit like that. Like I want it to be really beautiful and special, but that doesn't mean we need to spend tons and tons of money on it. I'm very much going to do it on a budget, but even on a budget, we still can't afford to have one yet. So it'll be a few years. In terms of initial ideas, I think we want to get married outside, sort of maybe in like a barn or something. It would be super small. We both have small families and small groups of friends, so there'd probably be like 20 people at the wedding and then maybe like 50 at the party at a push, I don't know. So it'd be super small anyway. Obviously all the food would be vegan. I think we'd probably have donuts instead of a cake because we both really like donuts. If the world was suddenly coronavirus free, what is the first thing you would do? I'd go see my mum, hands down. My mum lives 5 minutes away and she really misses Remy. And I really miss her, so I think it'd be really nice to see her. Also, when all of this kicked off, my sister came back from Australia, so she's been living in Australia for the past 6 months and now she's living with my mum. So yeah, it should be really nice to see them. That's what I plan to do when we have the go ahead. I just want to go over there, drink some wine in the back garden with my mum and sister, chill out. Oh, it's gonna be so nice. It really is. Like, there's so many negatives of lockdown, but I think it really is gonna sort of like make us appreciate what we have a bit more and appreciate who we have in our life. Just the little things like being able to go out for a coffee and stuff like that. I think it's going to be really nice. Oh, I think it looks pretty good. Has your influencer job changed much since lockdown slash... How do I find out what the rest of that says? Anyway, yes, it has. I've not had a sponsored post since January. So regardless of lockdown, shit was drying up as it was. I had obviously that partnership with Mother, and then as soon as lockdown happened, Mother actually decided to pause all the work that they were doing, so they don't really exist at the moment. I don't know if they're gonna start back up again. I think they're gonna try to, but whether I'll be working with them or not, I'm not actually entirely sure. So that was obviously a really cool thing I was doing. It was really fun to work on and it was very good financially. So it's been quite a hit not having that anymore. I think a lot of influencers have less work on at the moment. I think it's going to take a few months for brands and their like marketing departments to sort of decide what they're doing. That means that influencers kind of have to sit around and wait for them to figure that out. Oh, my camera's about to die. Okay, someone said, how did you get into Stephen King novels? I've been posting about the books that I'm reading a lot on my Instagram stories, so if you don't follow me on Instagram then you should. And just so happens that the past like 10 books I've read are all Stephen King books and I keep buying more. I'm very into Stephen King books at the moment. The way I got into them, obviously I'd heard of him before, but I'd never read a Stephen King book until I met Danny. He already had maybe 10 books when I met him, so I just started reading them when I was bored and really liked them. I would say he's my favourite writer, and yeah, he has like 50 or 60 books, I don't know, he has a ton, so it's going to take me a long time to work my way through them. And for me, I really hate reading a bad book. I'm sure no one enjoys it, but like it really frustrates me if I've wasted my time reading a book that I don't enjoy. So it's kind of just like a safe thing for me to pick up a Stephen King book and know that I'm probably going to enjoy it because I know that he's a good writer and I know that I like the kinds of things he writes about. And I think Misery is a really good first book to read. I think The Running Man is good. I mean, obviously I think all of his books are good, but also a lot of them are like over 700 pages long, so you probably don't want to start on one of them if you're not sure you're even going to enjoy it. So yeah, maybe like Misery. Carrie. My camera died, are we surprised? I feel incredibly unprofessional that this is like the second time in 2 weeks I've had to finish a video on my phone. Thank you so much for watching this chaotic filler content. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a big thumbs up if you did, a big purple thumbs up. Subscribe, follow. Danny hates it when I do finger guns. Okay, bye.